Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario, and this is going to be a random commentary, rant, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it's going to be much of a rant, to be honest, but it's going to be a random commentary that I'm throwing here onto the side channel, so hope you all enjoy this. For some reason, I've been doing these a lot more. So for anyone that does not know, this is my side channel, iPsychozoa, which is a off-branch of the Mr. Mario 2011 channel, and it is hosted by yours truly, Mr. Mario 2011, or Mario, or Mr. Mario, or Danny, whatever the hell you want to call me. Reason why I made this channel was because years ago, I made this second channel just because there was random unedited stuff that I wanted to upload that didn't fit on the main channel, or I didn't feel comfortable putting it on the main channel, so I started putting it on here. And you'll see a lot of the videos on here are random, they're unedited, they have little editing, anything like that, and that's what to expect on here. However, I kind of use it as a outtakes, or not really an outtakes, but a bonus bits channel, where I say, hey, if you like the main channel and you want more, maybe you would like the side channel. So hey, that's how this thing kind of came about. I'm not super active on here, but we'll see what can happen for 2016. I mean, hey, anything's possible, because I honestly make a lot more content than I upload on the main channel, so I'll just put it at that. But what am I talking about today? I kind of wanted to talk and kind of rant and kind of maybe complain a little bit about required attendance. Now, there might be some people who are, you know, in a high school or lower, and they say, oh man, I hate required attendance. No, this is not for you. This is not for you, okay? You're in middle school, you're in high school, you're in elementary school, anything like that. It's your job to go to school, okay? Now, you all might be saying, I have a job. No, I work at McDonald's. No. Your job, your occupation is a student. You go, you do that. In fact, if you are actually not going to school, that is illegal, and that is truancy. So there you go. Now, college, that's going to be a different thing. It's like you pay a bunch of money, you go to a class, you get enrolled in a class, and then if you don't show up, well, that's your own problem right there. I mean, that's not illegal. That's just a big waste of money and time. So, yeah. Well, what I'm going to be talking about here is college. So, for anyone that doesn't know, right now I'm actually in the middle of doing finals. I actually did all mine on Monday, except for one, so I'm going to be doing one on Friday. But I just graduated with a 4-year in management information system. So I know I've been talking about that a bit because some of that stuff is, you know, related to what I'm talking about here. And at the same time, hey, I'm proud of it. This will be a whole nother story that I might put on the main channel, but college is not for everyone. I'll put it at that. It's not for everyone. It really isn't. I came in with a lot of people. I left with different people, and I lost quite a few people along the way. There were many people that changed majors, many people that just stopped going, they gave up, anything like that. I'm confident that it is not a thing for everyone, and that's totally fine. But it's also another type of thing where I've seen a lot of people need age with it. I've seen people who take like 5-10 years off, they come back, and they're better than people who just came out of high school. I've seen people who just come out of high school, flunk out their first year, take a year or two of a break, come back, they're excellent. So age really has something to depend on it as well too. It might just not be someone's time to go to college, whether you go there at age 18 or 22 or 50. You know, it really depends. But what I'm talking about here is required attendance in college classes. Getting to like 3.5 minutes in the video, still haven't actually broken the ice right here. Or I might have, but let's go ahead and get into this. So, in case you don't know, there are a lot of classes that do require attendance, and you'll get that in a attendance or a participation grade. Now, with a lot of my classes, I would say about half of them require you to take attendance. The other half don't require you to attend, but it would really help out. And I'm one of those believers. I say attend your classes, because first off, it's a waste of money. You know, you pay for this class and you don't go to it, that's such a waste of money. And two, yo, trust me, I know it doesn't seem like it, but professors and teachers are normal people as well. And if they see you struggling, I've literally had a teacher tell me this. If they see that you're struggling in a class, but you're trying on the homework, you're trying on the quizzes, you're trying on the tests, and you're coming to class every single time there's a session, they will help you out. They'll be willing to help you out, because you know why? They know you. Even if attendance is not at all required in that class and they don't give any bonus for attendance, you know what happens? They get to know you. They see you every single time they have a class, and they know you. So that's why I encourage people. I say, even if they say attendance is not required, still go. And even if attendance is not required and you have to miss a day, email the professor a day in advance. Say, hey, I can't come to class today. I'm sorry. And a lot of my professors who, you know, they didn't require attendance, they emailed me back and they said, hey, dude, we don't require attendance, but we really appreciate the heads up on that. So all that stuff. But what I'm trying to talk about here is a lot of these classes also, the ones that require attendance or do random attendance or anything like that, a lot of these places, what they end up doing, or classes specifically, is they end up, what am I trying to say here? Man, I'm losing my train of thought because I keep just going off on tangents here, but no, they also sometimes will have excused absences, and some of them will be varied. They'll say, you know, if as long as you give us ample time and you're excused, you won't get anything cut. We will only affect your grade when you have unexcused absences. That's like saying, you know, for example, if you contact the professor after class is over and say, oh, I'm sorry, my car died, I couldn't get there, that would probably be an unexcused absence because you should have let the professor know prior to coming to class. Another type of thing that'd be related is, you know, just sleeping through a class or just not showing up, anything like that. But excused absences are absences that are truly a family emergency. So sometimes, you know, you might not be able to get to your professor before the class starts, but you could tell them afterwards and say, hey, dude, my aunt just died. I had to leave. I had no way of contacting you in that moment of time. And most of the time they're going to be lighter on you and they'll let up on you. But most of the time, if you just give them a proper excuse and everything, you hit them up beforehand. And what I normally do, because I was going out for a lot of job interviews, what I normally do is prior to a class period, I'll actually contact my professors and say, hey, I just want to let you know I will not be attending this class on this day due to the fact that I have a job interview with this company in this city right here. If you all would like me to provide you any type of proof or information, I'll be more than happy to forward you the emails that I have received. And you know what? I have never been asked for proof, ever, because I believe that one, the teachers might not care that much, and two, the fact that I am so willing to give them proof kind of shows them that they don't need to verify it with me. So most of the time I am excused from that type of stuff. But there's been a few things, like for example, one of my classes, we had 10%, or I guess 10 points, 10%, no, it was 10 points. 10 points of, and it doesn't sound like much, but trust me, it is a lot in the grand scheme of things. 10 points of our grade was attendance and participation. And I actually talked to my professor about this. Oh my God, I just completely random, but I just found this watch up top that I thought I lost about 6 months ago. Damn, that's awesome. Anyways, so what ended up happening was I talked with my professor and I said, hey, listen, I know I missed a lot of classes this semester, right? But I was excused for I had excuses for all of them except for one. Every single time I missed class, it was either for a career fair or an interview. And the only time I missed class and I was not excused for it, which I did give you a formal warning in email, was when I had to leave the city to visit my family. That, I believe, would not be counted as an excused absence, and I had verified that with a few other professors. One of my other professors, he will let you miss class for any type of excused absence, but when I told him about this, he said, I'm sorry, I cannot excuse this absence, however, it will not affect your grade that much. So what happened was I talked to this one other professor, and she said, well, you did miss a lot of classes, and I understand you were out for interviews, you were doing productive things, so you're not going to get all of your participation and attendance points. You're going to get most of them, and it's not going to hurt you that bad, but I can't give all of them to you. And I said, yo, that's completely understandable, that's fine. So in the end, I got 8.8 out of 10 points. And not all of that was even because of that one day or the multiple days that I missed. I'm sure most of that was due to the fact that there was one or two times when we had, you know, class projects and all that, that I just did not speak or I didn't participate in a group setting or anything like that. What am I trying to say? I didn't speak up, you know, in the middle of class, which you kind of have to do sometimes. But no, and that wasn't even that bad. That one I can accept, it's fine, but I told one of my friends about this last night. He's like, oh man, I hate stuff like that. I'm like, well, I kind of understand, I do, but, you know, she took off some points for that, not that many, but a few, and then another one of my professors, the one who's really lenient with excused absences and everything, he even told me, because I asked him, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be going out for a lot of job interviews, man, hopefully, so I'm going to be missing a lot of class, and he said, yo, just go ahead, email me, tell me what days you're going to be missing, it's fine, because here's the thing, who am I to prevent you from going to your interviews? You come to college for years, you spend all this money, you know, getting your education, and your hope after spending all that money to get this education would be to go out into the world and get a job. I am not the person who wants to prevent you from getting a job. That is the very last thing I want to do, so I am not going to excuse you because of that, because I don't want to penalize your grade just because you're out looking for a job which you are expected to have by the time you graduate. And that was really respectful of him. I really did appreciate that. But then one of my friends, right, he was telling me his cousin had this. Now, I did not have this in my major, but there are actually some majors that require you to have at least 1 or 2 internships before you graduate. And I think his cousin is in some type of like, not marketing, but it's not graphic design either. It's some type of design class, right? It could be graphic design, something like that. Let's just say it's a design class. In her major, before she graduates, it is required that she has at least 1 summer internship of some kind. Now, what ended up happening was her teacher kind of ended up flip-flopping on this, right? So she had a class where, because our career fair, our university-wide career fair is 2 days long. One day she could not go because she had no time. And my rule of thumb, I always tell people, I say, if you don't have time to go to the career fair, you make time to go to the career fair, even if it affects your classes a little bit, because you really need to go to that. So that's what I tell people. Always go, and if you can't go, go. But one of the days, she would have been able to go, except she had this class that's a few hours long, and that was the only time she would have been able to make it up there properly and spend a few hours talking with employers and such. Now, what ended up happening was this professor, and funny enough, it's about, you know, being business professional and ethics and all that stuff. I don't know what the class is, but it's something related to all this, going out into the workforce and working and doing all this stuff, right? So what ended up happening was he's saying, you know, it's so important. You need to get an internship. You need to get a job. You need to get an internship. You need to get all of this experience, right? And then you know what happened? She asked if she could be excused that day, because attendance is required in there, and she asked if she could be excused so she could go to the career fair, and he said no to her, and not just her, he said no to everyone. You know why? He said no to everyone because he said that he did not believe that it was very professional that people would skip a class to go to another type of thing, like a career fair or anything like that, and that students should attend the class because that is their dedication that they have on certain times and certain days. Now, that is some BS right there. It really is, because as I said, you are in a major where it is a requirement to get an internship, and you're in a class where they're talking to you about the importance of going out into the workforce and working for an enterprise or a job or anything like that, and yet you have this professor declining you and restraining you of that option. Honestly, if I was her, I would have still gone, but she didn't go for whatever reason. It's not my thing. I really wish she went, but it's her hurting herself, so that's all it is. Anyways, I guess that's my little rant, overview, talk, whatever you want to call it, about required attendance in college and why sometimes it just doesn't work out super well. But, you know, if you're just one of those people that says, oh, and I've known people like this, you know, they decided not to go to a class because, hey, they just want to play video games, that's not very good. Now, I think the only time I ever got close to that was I had a statistics lab, and I didn't miss a single lab session all that whole time, and the lab sessions were super easy. I mean, I'll be honest, I went there, I did my work before I went there, so I went there, I played my PlayStation Vita, I was on my laptop, whatever it is. By the time we had to turn in our work, I just turned in my work and I left. That was all I did. What ended up happening there was you're allowed 2 free absences from labs, and the very last week of lab is optional. So you don't even have to go the last week of lab. And by the end of the semester, I was tired of lab. It was at like 4 o'clock on a Friday, and I didn't want to attend lab anymore. And I had 3 more sessions. As I said, the last session does not count. You don't have to go. And I had 2 unused free passes on there that I could have used. So that way, because I understood what was going on, I actually used that. And at the same time, it worked out perfectly because that first week that I lost, that I did not go there, was also the same Friday that the Xbox One came out. So I wasn't trying to go to class at all there. But yeah, there are some people that also want to use that to their advantage, and they'll say, oh, I have 5 free absences, so I'm not going to go to class for 5 weeks. No, that is not what you're supposed to do, because you know what happens? You don't go to for 5 weeks, and then week number 6 comes around, and you go, and you get frustrated and flustered because you don't know what the hell is going on in class because you missed 5 weeks of class. And then after that, you know what happens? If you have a family emergency, if you yourself have an emergency, anything like that, you might miss class, and then your grade is going to dramatically drop. Yeah. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone.